Hi IST Superstars, it's Mrs. Bedwell here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to animate objects in Flash. I'm going to show you what we're aiming to achieve. So this is the end result sitting here in the Flash player. So you'll see that there's three objects. We have the word rainbow coming in from the right, the word resources coming in from the left, and the yellowy orangey shape in the center that's rotating roughly about 180 degrees. So that's what the tutorial will end up like at the very end when we've completed it. In this tutorial, the graphics have already been created for you, so you don't have to use the text tool to be able to write the word rainbow and resources, and you won't need to draw that central shape. So I'll just shut the Flash player for now. You should have Adobe Flash already open and starting a new ActionScript 3.0. So because the graphics have been done for you, they are in a GIF file. To be able to complete this animation, you should already have a copy of that GIF file saved into your Google Drive. If you don't, you can't continue anymore, so pause the video and find that. Your teacher would have supplied that to you. So I'm going to now import that to my stage. So File, Import, Import to Stage, and I'm going to look for that file in my Google Drive. Should be sitting in my IST folder, and you'll see here that there is a GIF file. So I will open that and it will sit exactly onto my stage. GIF files we learnt about last year when looking at different file formats. So GIFs are usually used for small animations that need to be of a small size for use on, say, a website. So with the GIF selected with the blue bounding box, you're then going to use the trace bitmap function. So click Modify, Bitmap, Trace Bitmap. So at the moment, the image is appearing as a bitmapped image. Now, I've mentioned to you before that Flash supports both bitmaps, so pixelated images, as well as vector graphics. We know from last year that bitmapped images take up a lot more space. Okay, they're a lot more, they're a bit slower to process. So we're turning this bitmap image and we're going to turn it into a vector graphic. So in the threshold here, you need to keep that as 100 and keep the minimum area of 1 pixels. Keep it on many corners. Curve fit is pixels, and we press OK. So what that's done is now turn the 1 bitmap into 3, or basically into a whole bunch of pixels. Okay. We're now going to turn each of our separate objects, so the word rainbow, word resources, and the yellow graphic, we're going to turn them into separate symbols so we can animate them separately. We also want to organize them and put them onto separate layers. So to deselect your graphic, you just click anywhere around the graphic itself. Now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in to about 200%. So you can do it at the top here. We can press Control++, okay, or Control minus to go back. So now that we're zoomed in, we'll be able to select a bit easier exactly what we're after. So using the selection tool, you're going to click just above the W, click and hold, okay, and we're going to, we don't want to go over into our graphic, the orange one, and we don't want to go into our resources. So just take a bit of time. It's now selected. We press F8, which is the shortcut to convert to symbol. We keep it as a movie clip, and we're going to call this rainbow. Okay, so you see now that the rainbow word appears in the library on the bottom right hand side, and it has a blue bounding box, which means that it's now a separate symbol. Now we're going to repeat that with the word resources. So again, click anywhere outside of the graphic, click the selection tool, and we're going to be careful and click, hold and drag and select resources. See how it's selected the blue as well? We don't want that to happen. So we want them to be separate. Okay, good. F8, convert to symbol, call this resources, press OK. We now need to zoom out, so Control minus minus, to be able to select the yellowy orange graphic. So to do that without selecting the rainbow and resources symbol, we click the sub selection tool, so it's the open arrowhead. And we click, hold and drag, and it will only select the items that haven't been selected by these two here. Let's try that again. There's a little bit of stuff here, don't really worry about that. F8. We'll just call it graphic. And now we have our 3 different symbols, and they appear down the bottom here in our libraries as 3 separate symbols. Now when you've converted things to symbols, they're now editable on their own, and to be able to do that, if you double click on the symbol, it will, I think I need to save first, hold on a second. I'm going to save the file. We should have done this at the beginning. So File, Save As. Now I want you to save it to your Google Drive folders, and you're going to call this your first animation and put it with the rest, well where your GIF is would be the best place. You'll notice here that there's a number of different file formats. So what you want to do is save it as the .fla file. That is the working file. I'll show you later on when you export it, the different other file formats there are, depending on what you're using it for. But for now, you just keep it as the working file. .fla. Save. So showing you how to edit symbols. You go in and double click. And it should come up with, take you into a new screen to edit those, but we'll come back to that later. We're now going to organize our graphics onto 3 separate layers to keep organized. So just in case down the track, we may want to just edit that particular graphic. So we can do that by putting it on layers. So you need to click the selection tool on the tools panel if you haven't already. Click anywhere out of there, drag diagonally across the entire logo, okay, and that selects all 3. Then you can choose Modify, Timeline, Distribute to Layers. You can now see in the Layers panel, we have the 3 graphic, resources, and rainbow. So it's even named them for you, looking at the names that I've already given the symbols on the right hand side in the layers panel. There are other ways you could have turned those graphics into layers by doing some copy and pasting. Both ways would be correct. Looking at your layers, you would notice that there is still a default layer 1. Now we're not doing anything with that layer, so you can delete that one. You can right click on it and delete layers, or another way is to click, hold and drag into the trash can at the bottom there, and that will get it out of the way. Alright, so we're now up to wanting to make each of these individual symbols move. So to be able to do that, we need to use the timeline and add some timing to each graphic. So I want you to click on frame 30 in each of the layers. To do that, hold down Shift and click each layer, then right click and insert keyframe. So remember that a keyframe is going to be a moment in time that a big change is going to happen. We're going to begin by moving the rainbow symbol. So make sure that you're on the rainbow layer. Click in the first keyframe. Okay, and at that point, we're going to want the rainbow to be coming from off stage in this gray area here on the right. So we click, hold down Shift, and we drag to the right. If we hold down Shift, it will stay straight. Let go. And then over at frame 30, it's going to stay. So you'll see here that at frame 1, rainbow is over there, and at 30 it moves back. So they're the two major movements. Now we're going to repeat that now with resource, but this time resources is coming in from the left hand side of stage. So we're now going to move to the resources layer and make sure that our playhead, the red playhead, is sitting on frame 1. We're going to press Shift and hold resources and drag it over, oops, why is it moving up and down, to the left hand side. So as well as rainbow, you'll see at frame 1, it's sitting on the left, and at frame 30, it's in the position that we want it to appear in. We're now going to animate the orange and yellow graphic in the middle. So we're going to select that, and that makes sure that we're on that layer. Move our playhead to frame 1, and we're going to go up here to modify, transform, rotate 90 degrees, then again we're going to rotate that another 90 degrees, so it's rotating a total of 180 degrees. So the graphic will appear in the first frame like this, and in frame 30 like that. So if we now watch our animation by clicking Control Enter, see that it's a bit clunky. Okay, it's not moving nicely at all, which means that we need to apply a tween to go and add the frames in between our two keyframes. So we've got a frame now sitting at 1. There's basically nothing happening to it in these frames in the center, and then at frame 30 is the end of our major change. So to be able to do that, we need to apply a tween in between these two keyframes 1 and 30. Before we do that, you'll notice that there's an asterisk that appears next to the name of your file. It means that there's some new data there that needs to be saved. So if we just press Control S, and that will automatically save it. So you can right click anywhere between frame 1 and 30 on each layer and press Create Classic Tween. Classic tweens are used for simple animations like these, where they don't need a motion path. We'll look at motion paths in another animation. So now that the tweens have been applied, you can tell that because now there's an arrow appearing between frame 1 and 30 in each layer. Press Control Enter again to do a sample, and our animation is working perfectly. We're now going to publish our animation so it can be viewed on the web. So just go back to 100%, Control minus. I need to make sure that I've saved all the data needed, so press Control S. Click on File, Export, Export as Movie. And you'll notice here, if you click on the Save As type, that there's a number of different formats you can choose from. So in this case, we want it to be a SWF movie. Click on that and press Save. I already have one in there, so let's just replace that. And this is what your file will appear like, your SWF file. Thanks for watching.